We're live. That's what Michael's telling me. We are live. All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I think we're on episode number 23 or something like that of Elk Talk Live. And I appreciate all of you tuning in on these Wednesday nights. We just got back from our annual Southeast Montana deer hunt. We took our buddy John Cushman, a disabled vet, our buddy Gerald Martin and his two boys, ages 10 and 12, and we shot 5 bucks in 3 days. How cool is that? But last week, somebody out on this thing, when they saw me talking about the new round bow from Bowtech, they said, "Randy, I bet you that you will shoot a grouse before you shoot a big game animal with this." And there's a very good chance of that. I got distracted by some sharptailed grouse when we were over deer hunting in Montana. And we just posted that video on YouTube this morning. And I don't know what to say. If I am hunting elk and they're bugling and a grouse pops up, those elk will keep bugling. I shoot those grouse. And I think I shoot more grouse with a bow than I ever do with a firearm, because I'm just out there in the woods a lot in elk season with a bow in my hand, and I get to eat a lot of grouse in September and October, and I love it. But anyhow, Elk Talk Live, great sponsors that bring this to us every week. We try to do it, other than when we're on the road and we are in too much of a technology challenge to do it. We've tried it. Some of you have seen when we've tried to do it in a technology challenged environment. It doesn't work very good. But we're set up tonight. We're at my office. If you hear a little bit of noise, the janitor is upstairs on Wednesday night. I don't know why. He's vacuuming the floors up there. So I'll try to talk over that. But this Elk Talk Live, like every week, is brought to you by Bowtech, by Leupold. Oh, tonight, Leupold gave us this Sling Go bag. They want us to give this away randomly to someone who asks a question tonight. We don't know who it'll be, but when we're all done, we're going to pick somebody. So ask questions. You might be the winner. Onyx Maps, Onyx, their new feature of sharing waypoints, really, really cool. Go and check their YouTube videos to see how it works. And if you buy some of their app products, you will get 20% off by using the promo code RANDY, R-A-N-D-Y. Also brought to you by Tight Spot, Black Gold, Ripcord, GoHunt.com. Again, using promo code Randy at GoHunt.com on their insider service. If you use our promo code, you're going to get $50 of gear store credit in their gear store. Also, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. And we used to have a different number that you would text to get notifications, but we're trying to bundle it with all of these platforms we have. So to do that, we had to switch the text number. So if you want to get notified, you want to get into the drawings and prizes and stuff we're doing, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to 77453. And with that, we're going to jump into a couple of the questions. Last week, there were a couple good ones that I didn't really get to, and I wanted to, but we almost went an hour last week. And these are only supposed to be a half hour. But that's one of the problems when you give a TV guy the microphone. He's going to keep you in your seat longer than you probably want to be there. But last week, one of the questions was, how many encounters do I have in archery elk hunting before I actually get a shot? And obviously that varies, but for mule deer, I'd say probably 1 out of every 4 or 5 encounters I end up getting close enough that I feel comfortable with a shot. Antelope, probably 1 out of every 7 or 8. In elk, it's like sometimes, man, everyone I see, we get an encounter and a shot. And then sometimes it's like, man, it's going to take 20 encounters to get a shot at an elk. And for elk, because they're big and they're noisy, it really is, what's an encounter under that definition? I would say that if we get an elk responding to us, we probably end up, not when I say we, not necessarily me, but whoever we're hunting with, getting an opportunity, getting within shooting range, let's put it that way, probably 1 out of every 5 or 6 times. Now, a lot of times we get in shooting range, like if you go and look on our YouTube channel, you'll see we had my buddy Bart May here in Montana, and the bull came out at 6 or 7 yards straight on, no shot. So I would say we end up getting close enough for a shot. Probably, let's round it and say 1 out of every 5 or 6 times. So I thought that was a really good question, because I know when I first started archery elk hunting, it was 1 out of every, I don't know, 1 out of every 50 times maybe. And then I wouldn't even, a lot of times I wouldn't even take a shot. When I first started archery hunting, I was so nervous that everything wasn't going to work out perfectly. And so a lot of times I ended up just passing on what now I know would be really, really good opportunities. So over here is Michael, and he is monitoring you're on the YouTube channel and the Leupold channel and the Bowtech channel. I'm pulling questions off our Facebook page and our Hunt Talk forum page. So here's the first one. Jared, how much snow in your experience does it take to get the elk to move to lower elevations? And in my experience, and also talking to biologists, snow is one factor. It's not as important as cold, because cold forces elk to burn a lot more energy. And if it's early snow, usually it's not packed, it's not icy, it's not crusty. So the cows and calves and young bulls will leave, and they'll start heading down with 6 inches to a foot of snow. I will see bulls right now in Montana. We are having a winter of all winters. If the rest of the winter stays like this, like November has been, we're going to take a serious hit on all of our animal populations. Up in the high country, we have snow up to your waist in some places. That's enough to push bull elk down lower. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to come all the way to the valley floor where there's only 6 inches of snow. A bull elk is going to go only as low as he has to still make a living. In other words, if the snow is maybe blown off the ridges and he can go out and feed there at night, or if it's soft, kind of powdery snow and he can move through it and scrape it away and still eat underneath that snow, he'll stay at higher elevations with more snow than you think. But now if you get one of these stretches of 20, 25 below zero, then they just have to go lower, because they can't expend all the energy digging for food. They got to get where food is more available, where it takes less effort to get to food. So for me, I'm more interested in the temperatures than I am the amount of snow. That as a kind of ranking which one's more important. But if you get cold temperatures and a lot of snow, in our late seasons in Montana, we get to hunt until the Sunday after Thanksgiving with a rifle in most of the state. That's going to move elk very, very low if we keep getting this kind of weather. Now, you get in states in Colorado where most of the time, the third rifle season, which is kind of when most of the hunting pressure drops off, the fourth rifle seasons, which are going on right now, have far, far less hunting pressure. Most years, you're not going to have the kind of snow that we're talking about here in Montana. Sometimes Wyoming has some of these November hunts that are open. And again, I'm talking about bull elk. If it's cow elk, it's completely different. They're going to move really quick. They're going to get down there, because no matter what season of the year it is, a cow has to focus on food, 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 and food. And they're going to go where they can get the best food by expending the least amount of energy. So let's see. What is the perfect condition to get elk moving during the day? No hunting pressure. When people say elk, I'm thinking about bull elk. Bull elk are not going to move during the day in most of the public land places I hunt. Yeah, in archery season they will, because in the rut they just got to do what they got to do. But in post-rut or late season, these bull elk, they're tanked up during the middle of the day. Yeah, if you get cold, you get snow, you're going to see them have to stay out later in the morning before they go to their beds, and they're going to have to come out sooner. And because they're an ungulate, they have to get up sometime during the day. I read something, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, and somebody who's a scientist is going to say, no, you got it wrong, Randy. I think an ungulate has to feed like 4 times a day because of how their stomachs are. So they will get up in the middle of the day and possibly graze and feed a little bit, but they're going to do that right in the area that they have their bedding sanctuary. It's not like they're going to get up in the middle of the day and go 500-600 yards to feed. They might do that in the evening, but they're not going to do it in the middle of the day. So really, hunting pressure forces elk into sanctuaries. You're not going to see a lot of daytime activity in rifle seasons. Archery seasons, yeah, you will. And they'll be up moving all day as long as it's not super hot. So, let's see. Randy, is the bull in the background the one that you took in Colorado? No, this bull in the background actually was taken by Marcus, camera guy. Here in Montana, it's his archery bull. I don't know if that means his wife Kara said, "Hey, we don't want that at the house. Get this thing to the office." But so, what do you got over there, Michael?
How old were you when you killed your first elk?
How old was I when I killed my first elk? Let's see. I killed it on the day after my birthday, and I would have been, man, you think I could do this math better? I was 33. Yeah. I moved to Montana when I was 27. I wasn't able to hunt until I was 28. I spent 6 years hunting elk, making every stupid possible mistake known to man before I finally killed a bull elk on public land. I mean, if I wrote a book about how many stupid things I did trying to figure out how to kill an elk on public land, the book could be about this thick. But then once I took the time to analyze what I was doing wrong and try to think more like an elk, and it was that summer, the summer before that, that I came up with this idea that I really need to think about what is the calendar period of the elk. And where I brought that from is I used to do it when I was fishing, and I could seem to be able to catch walleyes anywhere, even all across all seasons. And what was I doing? I knew where walleyes were going to be at certain times of the year based on what their need was. So I took that and I applied it to elk, and I said, all right, in the early season, where are they at? What's their need? In the pre-rut, where are they at because of their need? Peak rut, post-rut, and late season. They're going to move around the landscape in each of those seasons. They're going to be in different places and behave differently because they have different needs. And once I started looking at it that way, I killed an elk, and I think pretty much every year since then I've killed at least one elk. Maybe I've missed a year, but there's been years where I've killed more than one. And I say that, I want people to know that the only reason that I have much elk hunting advice to give is because, one, I get to go between my tags and tags of friends and people who help on the show. I get to go on 5 to 8 elk hunts a year. So you really get to make a lot of mistakes over a lot of different hunting periods from early to late in lots of different landscapes, elevations, habitats. So don't think that I know much. It's really just how many mistakes I've made, and I'm saying don't make the same mistakes that I made, because I made a lot of them. But let's see.
How about a good all-around binocular size for glassing elk?
Okay, I'm going to get to this one and then that one. So, do you recommend a person who has never hunted elk in the West and doesn't live in the West to use a guide on their first hunt, or would it be okay to do it without a guide? This is a really good question, and the reason being is our platform is all public land, self-guided hunting. So people think, oh, that means Randy has a problem with guides. I don't. In fact, I get a lot of calls every year with this same exact question. And say you live in Indiana or Florida or someplace far east or maybe the Midwest. You've never been elk hunting. You've never been out west. Those of us who live here, we take for granted that everybody knows all these land ownership things. They know what elk do in this situation, that situation. No, that is learned information. And a great way to learn it would be to find a quality outfitter and go there on your first elk hunt. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you do it, take a lot of notes. Try to do as much of the hunting and thinking and planning and have a bunch of engagement and discussion with your guide so that you're learning. I mean, it's almost like paying some tuition, having a lot of fun in the process, and getting a lot of meat out of the process. I refer a lot of people just in this situation who've never been out west, never been on an elk hunt. Every year I refer a lot of them to outfitters who I trust and I know. That said, if you want to really